This evening, you will tuck your little one into their own private nursery. A cozy crib, a softly glowing baby monitor, a closed door keeping the silent house peaceful. It's a mindless routine for you. Yet, for 99, throughout nearly all of human existence, leaving an infant to sleep solitary meant certain death before sunrise. There were no protective cradles, baby monitors, or doctors on standby. There was only the freezing night and hungry predators capable of catching a newborn scent from hundreds of yards away. Across 300,000 years, every one of our predecessors grappled with the exact same ordeal. Human infants are the most defenseless newborns on Earth, making their survival the ultimate test of our species' endurance. Their approach completely reshapes our understanding of raising children, the nature of family, and our biological design. But to comprehend this, we have to look at the primary issue: human limitations. Consider this: a foal can stand up and take its first steps just hours after being born. From its very first breath, a baby chimpanzee can cling tightly to its mother's coat. In contrast, a human infant is born completely helpless, unable to even support its own head. It will take a year to walk, several more to feed itself, and constant, round-the-clock care from others just to survive a single night. Among all living primates, human infants enter the world in the most undeveloped state, a consequence of our massive brains. Had our brains reached a chimpanzee's developmental proportions before birth, delivery would be anatomically impossible. Consequently, evolutionary forces negotiated a compromise. At birth, a human infant's brain is only a quarter of its full adult capacity, whereas a baby chimp's is nearly 40%. This means 75% of our cognitive growth occurs after we are born, leaving us entirely vulnerable. But this isn't an evolutionary error. It's the compromise required to build the most dominant mind on Earth. This evolutionary toll resulted in the most defenseless newborns on Earth. For 300,000 years, every mother met the same harsh reality: an offspring unable to hold fast, powerless to flee, and incapable of keeping silent even with predators nearby. Surrounded by ruthless predators like leopards, hyenas, and vipers, a newborn was less of a blessing and more of a bullseye. How did they ensure its survival? The secret lies in a practice modern society has nearly forgotten. They raised them together. Anthropologist Sarah Blaffer-Hrdy released Mothers and Others in 2009, presenting a simple yet profound premise. Humans diverge fundamentally from other great apes. While a mother chimpanzee raises her offspring almost entirely alone, human parenting is entirely different. For 5 years, this mother raises, nurtures, and shields her offspring entirely on her own before reproducing again. Anyone attempting to approach her infant faces an immediate attack. Humans, however, do the opposite, engaging in what scientists term cooperative breeding. Raising offspring collectively wasn't a lifestyle choice, it was a strict survival strategy. Developing massive brains in vulnerable infants demanded immense communal energy and defense, a burden so high that our species would have vanished without shared parenting. Physical strength isn't what kept us alive. It was our capacity to share life's burdens, supported by astonishing evidence. Over in the Congo's Ituri forest, scientists observing Efe hunter-gatherers discovered that a single infant is cradled by approximately 14 different caregivers in just an 8-hour span. 14. On average, the newborn changes hands about 8 times every hour. The mother provides comfort for only 40% of the time, leaving the remaining 60% to a village of others: aunts, older siblings, grandmothers, neighbors, and even unrelated women. Some even offer their own nipples to soothe their babies. Anthropologist Barry Hewlett's research on the Aka people of Central Africa revealed that fathers remain within arm's reach of their infants for over 47% of the day. This is an ancient lifestyle, not a modern parenting fad. These people preserve a lifestyle unchanged for hundreds of thousands of years. Within this community, an infant is never left alone, nor is it ever set down on the earth. A child is constantly in someone's arms, and for a vital reason: a baby left on the ground would not survive. Millions of years ago, as our ancestors transitioned to walking upright, they shed the dense body hair that primate infants relied on to hold on to their mothers. In contrast, newborn chimpanzees immediately grasp their mother's fur to cling tightly. Because human infants cannot grasp onto their mothers, women had to carry them constantly for years. They created early wraps using vegetation and animal skins. In a 10,000-year-old Italian grave, researchers discovered a baby named Neve, who was laid to rest alongside an ornamented infant carrier. Yet, keeping babies close was far more than moving them around. It was a crucial tool for keeping them alive. The moment an infant is lifted and cradled against the chest, their pulse slows, their respiration becomes steady, and their tears cease. Researchers refer to this soothing biological reaction as the transport response. This is an evolutionary survival reflex deeply embedded in their biology. In nature, a noisy newborn invites danger. A baby that instantly quietens when lifted is one that survives. Today, your own infant still acts on this primal instinct. Lifting a crying infant to your chest and watching them instantly quiet down isn't about them feeling cozy. It's actually a 300,000-year-old survival instinct triggered in their brain. Your baby instinctively senses they are being transported to safety, staying silent so they don't alert predators and endanger both of you. Yet, transport was only half the struggle. Nourishing these infants was another hurdle entirely, leading to practices that would shock today's parents. For early humans, breastfeeding lasted at least 2 to 3 years, and often exceeded 4 years in foraging societies. This long-term nursing wasn't a preference, it was a matter of sheer survival. Baby formula and bottles were non-existent, as was any clean water safe for a newborn. Mother's milk stood alone as a sterile, perfectly balanced source of nourishment. It also delivered the essential antibodies needed to combat sickness in an era without medicine. Nursing also provided another vital benefit by halting ovulation. A mother who breastfed continuously could delay her next pregnancy for years, serving as humanity's original natural contraceptive. Back in the Stone Age, raising 2 highly vulnerable infants simultaneously practically guaranteed they wouldn't survive. And as they grew past breast milk, modern shortcuts didn't exist. No jars of pureed fruit, no processed baby cereal. Instead, parents had to pre-chew their meals. Caretaker, such as the mother or grandmother, would first chew on a piece of tough meat or fibrous root, utilizing their saliva to soften and break it down. Once masticated, they transferred the food directly from their own mouth into the baby's through a lip-to-lip paste. Through this act, vital digestive juices and protective antibodies were passed directly to the baby. Many anthropologists now suspect this survival behavior is how human kissing actually evolved. It wasn't about romance or love, but a mother sustaining her infant by any means possible. Then, grandmothers entered the picture. This is where the narrative takes a surprising turn. Throughout nature, most species die off once their reproductive years end, as evolution rarely sustains a body that cannot pass on its genes. Yet, human females survive for decades after menopause. What explains this anomaly? In 1997, University of Utah anthropologist Kristen Hawkes released a study on Tanzania's Hadza tribe, one of the globe's final hunter-gatherer societies. Her research revealed that older, post-menopausal women were actually the most industrious and successful food gatherers in the community. Foraging for hours under the baking sun, they wrenched stubborn roots from the dry earth. By gathering nourishing foods that weak toddlers could never harvest themselves, they kept their grandkids fed. This crucial support freed up mothers to give birth again much quicker, leaving the weaning of the older child to the grandmothers. Dubbed the grandmother hypothesis by Hawkes, this theory argues that women survive long past their reproductive years because those who assisted in rearing grandchildren successfully transmitted more of their genetic legacy. Our extended longevity began hundreds of millennia ago, when an elder gathering food under the African sun kept a toddler from starving. Menopause isn't a biological glitch, it is an evolutionary masterstroke, one of the most powerful survival adaptations in human history. This next truth should deeply disturb today's parents. Throughout our entire 300,000-year history, families never raised children in isolation. It was constantly a collective endeavor, a network of caregivers ready to hold the infant the moment exhaustion finally overtook you. Historically, a mother in a foraging tribe could rely on 5 to 15 people to help raise her child on any given day. In modern developed nations, that support network has shrunk to just 1 or 2 people. Now, you find yourself alone in a quiet flat at 3 in the morning, stuck with a wailing baby and no rescue in sight, no grandmother living nearby, no aunt down the hall, and no neighbor to watch your little one while you catch an hour of sleep. The profound fatigue and isolation of modern parenting aren't a sign of weakness. It is not a personal flaw. This struggle comes from trying to face solo what our biology was never built to handle throughout 300,000 years of evolutionary history. Across the span of human existence, we never even questioned if a single person could successfully raise a child. The answer has always been an absolute no. It ultimately came down to whether enough of our ancestors valued that infant's life to protect it. Over the span of 300,000 years, humanity consistently chose to care, which is the sole reason any of us exist today. That concludes today's episode. Please consider subscribing or donating to help support our next video.